Warning: the following content contains a lot of spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled, feel free to click off this video and watch a different video of mine. You're free to come back here after you completed the anime. Viewers' discretion is advised. I don't know where to start. This anime was pretty boring to watch at first, but the ending made me change my mind real quick because it was so dramatic. Before I explain, let's get right to the introduction. Scrap Princess is based on a light novel series written by Ichiro Sakaki and illustrated by Yukinobu Asumi. It lasted over 13 volumes from 1999 to 2005, while the anime series was released in 2003 and lasted only 24 episodes. There would also be a manga series, still written by Ichiro Sakaki but illustrated by Yabuki Go, which lasted only 3 volumes. It was animated by Bones, an animation studio that animated a lot of other well-known anime I won't get into. Alright, let's get right to the plot. Okay, this is the best way I can explain the plot, since it's pretty complicated. We start the anime with a 15-year-old girl named Pacifica and her 2 foster siblings, Shannon and Raquel. But here's the thing about Pacifica. She's known as the Scrap Princess, which means she's a danger to society. So one day, while they're in the middle of being ambushed, Pacifica meets a man named Chris. And Chris is an expert fighter, someone you don't want to mess with. However, I will get back to him since we have to talk about what Pacifica and her foster siblings are doing throughout the story. Pacifica and her foster siblings have been traveling across the world and exploring new things. The first stop was when Pacifica got tricked by her aunt, where she takes her to a priest planning to kill her. But thankfully, Raquel stopped the priest and saved Pacifica. So now we're back on the road. While on the road, we meet a guy named Leo, and Leo is someone who wants to become a knight, but he's pretty clumsy and doesn't know what he's doing correctly, especially when he tries to save Pacifica from local bandits. Leo would tag along with Pacifica and her foster siblings once they arrive at a large town, which is the second stop. Inside the town, they stay in an inn owned by a girl named Winia. Pacifica would befriend Winia for a while due to how Winia is introverted and doesn't have any friends, which until then, Chris will come out of nowhere and kidnap Winia. While she's kidnapped, Chris tells Winia about Pacifica, basically telling her that Pacifica is the Scrap Princess. Meanwhile, Shannon appears and would defeat Chris, saving Winia and taking her back to the town. However, Winia hasn't been interacting with Pacifica ever since what Chris told her, so much so that she didn't say goodbye to Pacifica when she was leaving town. But then, a dangerous monster starts destroying the town, which makes Chris stop Pacifica, Shannon, and Raquel from leaving so they can return to town and stop the monster. After they return, Pacifica yelled at the monster, which made the monster stop attacking the town altogether. Oh yeah, when I said Winia didn't say goodbye to Pacifica after leaving the first time, she now says goodbye to her after the monster was defeated, so that's nice. After leaving, a few things happened during the journey. The first thing is that Pacifica was poisoned by a poison bug, but thankfully, she ended up getting cured. The second thing is that Shannon and Raquel would get kidnapped, so Pacifica finds Leo and goes to the location where Shannon and Raquel are to go save them. Before both Pacifica and Leo can, Shannon powers up and destroys the kidnapper. The third thing is that Shannon finds a lost girl named Sis, but it turns out that she isn't a little girl. She's a peacemaker, making her an enemy. So Pacifica and her foster siblings have no choice but to leave Sis. The fourth thing is that the trio found a hidden village with people living inside. 2 other members live there as well, a guy who controls magic like Raquel and a woman who claims she's the Scrap Princess. Turns out that the guy who uses magic is a fraud and tried to brainwash the woman into saying she's the Scrap Princess so they can both destroy the village. Thankfully, this all failed and the guy was exposed, and the woman later confirmed she isn't the Scrap Princess, so the village ends up being safe. The last thing I will mention is that the trio enters a town where they get captured by the Beast Princess, and from here, this is where the plot gets crazy. One day, out of nowhere, a blast appears, which makes everything change. Pacifica ends up getting amnesia from the blast, which means she doesn't remember everything, not even her own name. She ends up meeting a guy named Fully, and she stays with him from then on, while Shannon and Raquel are separated from each other and don't know where they are. Leo and Winia both see Pacifica, but Pacifica doesn't remember either of them. Raquel would also find Pacifica, but nope, no sign of Pacifica remembering as well. How about Shannon? He's currently tagging along with Sis to help find Pacifica and Raquel. A few moments later, Fully gets a door knock, and it's one of his old friends, and he's offering Fully to join him. However, Fully refuses to join him, and this is where Fully screws up. When Fully gets alerted that the military is tracking Pacifica, Fully, Pacifica, Leo, and Winia all make their escape out the city. While they are being tracked down, Fully and Leo find an area where they take horses and flee the scene. This doesn't last long due to how Fully's friend and his soldiers chase Fully and Leo down, which will make Fully sacrifice himself so Leo can escape. Unfortunately, Fully ends up getting killed by his own friend's soldier. Here's what's crazy about this. We're kind of fortunate that Fully sacrificed himself so Leo could escape, since if he had continued going with Leo, fleeing with him, two things could have happened. The first thing is that Leo would have been killed alongside Fully, and the second thing is that if they had met up with Pacifica and Winia, everyone would have been killed in that situation. But either way, Leo returns to see Pacifica and Winia, and Leo has to tell Pacifica the unfortunate news about Fully, which makes Pacifica extremely devastated. After Leo told the news to Pacifica, Chris and his units show up and capture Pacifica and place her inside a dungeon cell. After being placed inside the cell, another woman appears in the cell next to her. The woman is extremely injured and needs medical treatment, but nobody offers to help her. So Pacifica talks to the woman about herself, but sadly, moments later, the woman dies. Turns out that the woman is actually Pacifica's mom. Later on, the guards take Pacifica out of the dungeon cell, and suddenly, the peacemakers go crazy and start killing the world's population, plus the city as well. However, the good news about this is that once Shannon appears, Pacifica regains all her memories after seeing him trying to save her. While the city is being destroyed, Pacifica is taken to a room to be locked inside, but surprisingly, Chris and his units save Pacifica and help her reunite with Shannon and Raquel. Before the plot ends, there's this last part I have to mention. Pacifica's biological brother requests us to meet up with Pacifica before her 16th birthday, which they end up doing. Once they see each other face to face, Pacifica's brother grabs his sword and stabs Pacifica and then himself. Soon after that, the military attacks and Shannon powers up to fight the peacemakers. Pacifica ends up dying and is taken to another world, while Shannon, he goes and defeats the peacemakers, including Sis. After that, Pacifica's life is restored, making her live another life. In the end, Pacifica, Shannon, and Rachel go back to their hometown to live a normal life, which means the anime ends with Leo proposing to Pacifica, and Pacifica slaps Leo in the face, rejecting him. Okay, I hope I did my best at explaining this plot, since this is an example of an anime that isn't well known and is difficult to explain. Anyways, let's move on to the animation. The animation is a classic. I love how the screen is an old school way. Older anime is pretty nostalgic to old heads out there, but unfortunately for me, I have never experienced that since I wasn't born during that time. Either way, this is how much I appreciate old school anime's animation. Let's move on to the opening and ending themes. The opening is great. I love how the singers nailed it with how they performed. I also enjoy the instruments used for the opening. This opening is performed by Chan Project and Masami Okui. The ending theme is okay. I don't really have a lot of things to say about it due to how it's not really my favorite or anything. This ending is performed by Yoko Ueno and Masumi Ito. Let's move on to the voice acting. The voice acting was funny at many points due to the humor and jokes that were said throughout the anime, but the voice acting is also pretty wild to watch due to how it gets dramatic with how they treated Pacifica, and that's what made me continue watching the anime. Let's move on to the pacing. Well, the pacing wasn't good. I was bored with the beginning of the anime due to how I felt quiet about it, and I wasn't making any reaction to watching it, other than laughing at a few things. However, the pacing felt a bit faster when the anime's ending made me want to continue the anime instead of stopping to take a break. You can say this, the beginning starts slow, but as soon as you continue the anime, you will want to see how it ends as soon as possible. Time for my final review. Time for my final review on Scrap Princess. I'm placing Scrap Princess on Good Show That's Nice, in between Elfen Lied and A Comet Got Kill. Once again, this anime has a boring start, but later on, it does get entertaining. Time for my next anime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Damn it! Oh my god, why you had to make me sad? Why you had to make me sad, Wheel? You kidding me? I actually would have enjoyed Orange High School Host Club. But are you kidding me? You gave me Angel Beats? God damn it. Time for my outro. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And please follow my socials in the description down below. And since you know what my next anime is going to be, stay tuned for that. Until then, this is Enjeru signing off.